Coming up, we're going to take a look at it, installing and configuring Microsoft Azure AD Connect.
This is the operating system we're gonna have in order to install, and in this video we're gonna go through that. So we have to get it up and running, so that way our synchronization can work. Showing up as sync to you.
So with that, we're gonna go ahead and actually pre-provision our server 2019. We can have it running 2016 if you want to, but for this demo I'm going to be using server 2019. You can see my AD Connect, I purposely broke it. It's not syncing anymore, and this is the server that was running my AD Connect, and so that server is no longer able to communicate back to my Microsoft 365 tenant. So therefore we need to reestablish that communication back. So number one, before you start configuring this, if you ever use MFA via conditional access policy, which I highly recommend you do, come to Microsoft Azure AD portal, and then you want to come over here, click on your conditional access policy, more specifically the one that is required for every user in your tenant. In this case, mine is this one. And once you come over here, what you want to do is you want to click on all users and specific users, or all user and specific user excluded. Click on here, users and workload identities, and then here is all the users that will be applied to MFA except my GA account, our directory synchronization account. Why? Because if this account is ever blocked by MFA, you won't be able to install AD Connect onto that server or have it working properly. It will never communicate. It won't create, like, for example, the AD Connect service account. It won't do that. So that's why this needs to be checked, excluded, and obviously your global admin account, so that way you don't get locked out of your tenant. So that's it. That's a prerequisite we have. Now we're gonna come back here. This is my domain / environment. In my Azure Active Directory, I have purposely set up 2 users, 2 famous soccer players, Pele, the all-time great, and then Ronaldo, a Brazilian, also a great player. So on Ronaldo, I granted him specific permissions. More specifically, I gave him the key to the kingdom. If you look at him, he got domain admins, enterprise admins, schema admins, and he also can get licensed through Office 365 by using that license management ability. And then Pele, I didn't give him everything, but I did give him domain admins, which means he still can do a lot of damage if he wants to. So now that we have the users, we will have two server configured over here. We have ADC01, which I'm not able to establish connection back yet. So it was just restarted. So now it's coming back on, and it's configured to sign me in as Ronaldo, the one with every access available. So for the purpose of this demo, I already make sure that we downloaded the AD Connect tool, and also I have replaced IE with Edge. If you want to see more of that, please, you can see my small 2-minute video about that. But yeah, so we need to have Edge. Once we have Edge, we need to launch it, and then we need to go to figure out our requirement. So the requirement for AD Connect again is server 2016. It can be anything, data center standard, and then it also can be running on server 2019. So I'm running WinVer right now to show you that I am indeed running server 2019. And then in my edge over here, what I want to go to is, we can go to Google. And then, so this server I just ran, this is the version I'm running, server 2019, 1809 built, and it's one of the latest. Obviously, there's always going to be more updates as the server gets older, so we will have to check in once we're in full production. But for now, I'm trying to deploy AD Connect, and so to do that, I have to type in AD Connect here in Google and kind of get familiar with what my requirements are. I already know that I meet the requirement, but for you, if you're doing this and you wanted to figure out all the details, you can simply Google AD Connect and then type in here the official AD Connect page. So you can come over here, you can see that the version is 2.1. It was released on March. It's a very small file. And the system requirement, which is the most important, you have to be running server 2016 and 2019. So that's the supported OS. If you run in server 2022, it's not supported. If you run in 2012, it's not supported. And I believe it won't even let you install because they actually made it to where you can deploy AD Connect on 2012. So I already downloaded this. I'm not going to do it again. If I go to my file explorer over here, you'll see that my AD Connect is there and it's ready to get installed. So to install it, it's like anything else. You just double click and then you follow the prompts. So here it's trying to install. You have to hit yes for that. Okay, that's it. As far as installation goes, that's all you have to do. You have to just double click it. It's installed, but you're not done. Installing is just maybe less than 1% of the completion. So you have to configure it. The configuration is what makes this a little bit more enjoyable. There you go. So it's installed and it will automatically launch this for you. So that way you can just start configuring it. Microsoft have made this simple than ever. So for example, if you hit I agree with the terms and hit continue, what they will have you do is they can have you do express. If you don't want to know everything about it, you just want to configure, basically password hash synchronization, you want auto upgrade to be enabled, all these options. If you want it to be enabled, you can just use express install. But if you are trying to do something a little bit more fancy, or rather select maybe a pass-through synchronization, which is what I want to do, you have to hit customize. On the customize, you don't touch anything. I don't have my own SQL server. I don't have any configuration to import, and I don't have any custom installation location. So I'm fine with what it's gonna install, and I don't have existing service account. So I'm just gonna hit install, and it's gonna go ahead, check the account that I'm logged in permission, and then that account will be able to, assuming the account has the right permissions, which we verified earlier, it does, it will go ahead and install everything fine. If the account is lacking permission, then it won't be able to install everything. It will actually, fail. So for this account, we are the biggest admin out there. We have everything there is to have in terms of Active Directory, local Active Directory. So we'll be able to install anything in our environment. So now, so it's ready for us. So this is the option again that Microsoft used to support only. Now they support pass-through authentication. So we're going to select pass-through authentication. We're not going to enable single sign-in because our domain don't match the Office 365 domain we have. So it doesn't gonna help us that much for here. And if you decide you want to use like ADFS, that requires a little bit more complex. This is the new ADFS with ping failure rate. So I won't use all of them. In fact, this is probably the best one for everybody. What it does is it install an agent, pass through agent into a server. You can do that yourself manually. And what that means is if all those servers are up, your users are able to authenticate, to their on-premise infrastructure. If, however, you don't have enough servers that have pass-through agent and only one of them has a pass-through agent and that fails, then your users won't be able to authenticate. That's why some people will set up password hash as a backup mechanism. But I'm not gonna do that. I am confident we will be able to authenticate just fine with when I deploy maybe a couple more agents, pass-through authentication agents. So I'm gonna hit next. This is where you supply your global admin credential. Now MFA, you won't get protected, so really enable MFA for any GA account, whether that is a GA account that you rarely use or a GA account that you use often. Enable MFA. It's a must. So I supply my credential and now it's gonna ask me for MFA, and so you can see the MFA is prompted and it's done. The next thing is examining the domain. And we're gonna hit add here. And then I'm gonna go ahead and type in my domain or enterprise admin credential. So what this is basically saying is that if you have an existing service account, you just type it in here. If you don't have it, then you need to create a new service account or have an AD Connect create a new service account for you. Then you need to type in an account with the enterprise credential, which is why we verify that our Ronaldo account has enterprise admin credential. If we try to use our Pele account, that account won't be able to do anything. So you can see now we did everything checked out. What we need to do now is hit next. And again, this is what I was telling you, my domain don't match. This one is a bogus domain, I don't own it. This one is the one I own officially, and I have records for DNS and whatnot. So when our users try to log in, they have to use this. If they try to use this, they won't be able to sign into Office 365. This is also telling us that. So that's fine. I already created a suffix for this and it will work just fine. So I'm gonna hit next. You don't have to run into that most of the time. So you're gonna come over here, sync all domains and OUs, or just sync a specific domain and OU. So I'm gonna do the specific one. So I don't want built-ins to sync. I don't want domain controllers to sync. I don't want foreign security principal to sync. I don't want infrastructure to sync. I don't want manage the service account to sync. I don't want program data to sync. I don't want systems to sync. But everything else can sync just fine because I created them and I want them to eventually work just fine. In fact, I probably don't want servers to sync as well, so that's fine. Hit next, and here you just hit next. You don't need to change anything, and here it's fine. We're not gonna have a specific group. We're gonna sync all groups and all device and users. And then here is where we need to set up the enhanced one. You can set up like a password hash synchronization for backup. So it tells you by enabling the users can sign in without the need to deploy additional SSO infrastructure. That's fine. Or you can do password write back. I'm just gonna do password write back, and then I can't do any of those other services because I don't have Exchange on-prem and I don't want to set up anything else. So we do password write back, and this will basically means that users, when they change their password in Office 365, it will be able to change in on-prem and then vice versa. So this is why you need to have it, especially when you set up SWSPR. So now we're ready to configure it. Self-service password reset. So now we have an option. It will tell us the summary. This is what we're doing. It will configure AD Connect service on this computer, install AD Connect agent or pass-through agent for the password authentication. It will enable password authentication. It will configure source anchor. It will configure our tenant. It will configure our connector. It will disable password hash synchronization. It will enable password write back. If we're happy with it, we hit yes. We can also set this to staging mode, and so that way it won't export any data. But I'm gonna hit install now. I will start the service. This is what I was telling you earlier. If you have MFA and you don't, like with conditional access, and you don't have that exclusion list for directory sign-in or directory services, then that's where it's going to fail. But it didn't fail because we have already made preparation for that, and now it's installing the pass-through agent, which is what we want to see, and it should be installing just in a matter of minutes right now. All right, so we have completed it, and we got a congratulations message, which is what we wanted. So it's telling us that AD Connect configuration succeeded. The synchronization process has been initiated. So it's doing initial full sync. And now it's telling us that we can verify it by creating an account and verifying that the account shows up. And that's what we're gonna do before we're gonna close this UI though. First, we're gonna close this. We're gonna come back to our DC here. We are going to create another account, another admin account. This account, we're gonna call it Kaka, and then it's gonna be Kaka. I have all the Brazilian legends over here, so we're gonna make sure the password doesn't expire for Kaka. And again, right now Kaka doesn't exist in our environment, so we're gonna create a new Kaka over here. And before I hit finish, it's create and finish, I will just show you real quick that Kaka doesn't exist in our environment. So let me show you real quick. If I go to users, active users, search for Kaka, we won't find the Kaka right now, which is what we expected because I haven't finished hit finish sync or finish. Now I finished it. Kaka will be able to get there, and I'm gonna add Kaka. Once it's finished, I'm gonna add Kaka to the another groups, but for now we're good. So if we look at the account, should show up shortly here, or I rather need to type in Kaka, not. So it's gonna take some time. What I'm gonna do is, while it's doing that, I'm gonna come over here and then just run PowerShell to force sync for, so that Kaka can show up faster for us. Delta. So it's success. So we should be seeing Kaka shortly here. In fact, if we come over here once more. All right. He hasn't fully done it yet. That's just other people. But if I come over here home, you can see my sync server is there. It's in a good standing. It still hasn't fully finished everything yet, but it's in good standing so far. And if I come over to active users, so Kaka is here now. So yeah, so that is how you can configure AD Connect, and you can see Kaka is synced. If I compare Kaka to other users, you can see this is our cloud, and Kaka is actual account that lives on on-premise. So I can make changes to Kaka account and do everything from the on-premise. If I try to like delete, for example, here and hit delete, it doesn't give me the option to delete. If I come over here, I can't delete the user. I can't edit the attributes or anything. It's all can be done through local Active Directory. I'm gonna add him a last name. So once I add last name for Kaka, it should appear perfectly in our Azure Active Directory. So let's add a last name for Kaka. I believe Kaka is his last name and his first name is Ricardo. So let's do this. We double click here, or properties rather. So last name is gonna be Kaka. First name is Ricardo. So it's gonna be all right, and then email is gonna be Kaka. All right, so that's how you can do it. And now what I'm gonna go back to my AD Connect server real quick, and then go to PowerShell, and then do another sync here, and it's successful. And now if I come back here to my cloud, we're gonna refresh it. It's gonna take about 5 minutes to appear, but if I do Kaka again, still there, but it hasn't fully updated everything else yet. See, first name is Kaka, last name is Kaka. It should show up last name Kaka, first name, display name. It should show up last name as Kaka and then first name as Ricardo once it's done. So let's come back here, home. See, here you go. So you can see I made the display name Ricardo Kaka. I may have butchered his name, but that's beside the point. And you can see here now, first name is Ricardo, last name is Kaka, display name Ricardo Kaka. So that's how you can set up AD Connect server. You can make changes from on-prem and it will instantly show up if you do that Delta sync. If you don't, it will show up in 30 minutes. After 30 minutes, you'll see all your changes coming up. So you can see, for example, it's been running about 7 minutes. So if I waited, Kaka changes would have appeared after 30 minutes. Because I didn't have that patience, I had to do it quickly, and I ran the Delta sync command and it showed up immediately. So yeah, so that's it. Yeah, I hope this was helpful. Please stay tuned for more video and take care. Bye-bye.